Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the philosophical fight of the century. Live from the arena of jurisprudence, tonight we are going to settle the ultimate question. What makes a law a law? In the red corner, you've got the reigning champion of legal positivism, the wily old lion from Oxford, H.L.A. Hart. And in the blue corner, we have the challenger, a tenacious badger known for his powerful principles, Dworkin.
Okay, let's dive right into the tail of the tape. On one side, you have Hart, the traditionalist. His signature move, the rule of recognition. Now, his stance is descriptive. Think of him like a sports analyst, just breaking down the game as it's being played. He's here to tell us what law is. But then you have Dworkin, the challenger. He's got a totally different approach. His key move is all about legal principles, and his stance is normative. He's more like a coach telling us how the game ought to be played. And let me tell you, this isn't just about style. It's a fundamental clash over the very soul of the law itself.
And there's the bell, ding ding, round one begins, and Hart comes out swinging, looking confident and totally composed. He's not wasting a single second, he's going straight for his core strength, the foundation of his entire theory. It looks like he's trying to establish control of this match right from the get-go.
And there it is, Hart's famous jab, the rule of recognition. It's a masterstroke, folks. What he's arguing here is that every single legal system has this one ultimate foundational rule that basically validates all the other ones. It's the system's official stamp of approval. You know, this is how we know a law passed by a government is legit. But your parents' rule about curfew? Not so much. It's all about creating certainty, a predictable field of play.
And this right here, this quote really drives the point home. Hart is saying this master rule isn't some kind of divine law handed down from the heavens. No, it's a social fact. You find it by just looking at what legal officials, judges, legislators, the police, what they actually do. If they consistently treat statutes from a certain source as law, well, that's your rule of recognition. It's a really grounded, practical approach that keeps the law rooted in reality.
So let's break down Hart's technique a little bit. See, the rule of recognition, it's the end of the line. You can't ask what validates it, it just is because that's the practice. It's what gives power to everything, from traffic laws all the way to the rules for making contracts. And what's really crucial here is that it might not even be a single written sentence. It could just be a shared understanding among all the officials. It's a solid, powerful defense from the champion that promises stability.
But wait a second, Hart may have dominated that first round, but Dworkin looks completely unfazed. He's weathered that initial storm, and now he's stepping forward. It looks like he's spotted an opening in Hart's seemingly impenetrable defense. Let's see what the challenger has in store for us. And there's the counterpunch. Dworkin lands a really sharp jab with a pretty devastating question. He's pointing to those hard cases, the messy, ambiguous situations where the written rules are either silent or they're just not clear. If law is just a system of rules, like Hart claims, what is a judge supposed to do when there's no rule to apply? That's a direct hit.
So this is Dworkin's main line of attack. He's basically claiming Hart's theory is incomplete. He's saying law isn't just some set of black and white rules. Beneath all those rules, there's a whole other layer, a kind of web of principles, of standards of justice and fairness, that are just as much a part of the law. And Hart's rule-based system, Dworkin argues, completely misses this whole moral dimension.
And this provides a perfect example with the classic case of Riggs versus Palmer. You had a grandson who murdered his own grandfather just to inherit the fortune. Now, the rules of inheritance were totally clear. He was the legal heir. But the court said no way, and they invoked a deeper legal principle. No one should be able to profit from their own crime. Dworkin argues this principle was already part of the law, even if it wasn't written down in some statute book.
This builds a really powerful distinction. Rules for Dworkin are pretty much all or nothing. You're either speeding or you're not. Simple. But principles, they have weight. Freedom of speech might conflict with the right to privacy. A judge doesn't just throw one out. They have to weigh them to find the right balance in that specific situation. This shows a much more flexible and honestly a more nuanced view of how law actually works in those tough cases.
Okay, we are into the final round and the crowd is on its feet. Dworkin landed some heavy blows in that last round for sure, but Hart is a seasoned champion. Now he's drawing from his famous postscript, and he's coming back off the ropes ready to answer the challenger's criticisms head-on.
Hart's first move is to try and downplay the attack.
He's claiming that Dworkin is making way too big a deal out of this whole rules versus principles distinction. For Hart, a principle is just a very general, kind of broad rule. He believes his rule of recognition is flexible enough to include them. It's like he's trying to absorb Dworkin's punch and make it his own.
So the crucial point for Hart is what happens in those hard cases. He totally admits that the rules can have gaps, but when that happens, he says the law has simply run out. The judge isn't discovering some hidden principle. They are stepping in and using their discretion to actually make new law. Hart sees judges as part-time legislators, and he argues this is a necessary and not so dangerous feature of any legal system.
And this, right here, this boils the entire conflict down to its essence. Hart believes judges have strong discretion. That's the power to basically legislate from the bench when the rules fail. Dworkin, on the other hand, argues for weak discretion. He thinks judges are never truly free. They're always bound by that existing web of legal principles, and their job is just to find the best interpretation, not to invent something totally new. And that's the final bell. Wow, what a fight. Both of these thinkers have landed some incredibly powerful arguments, and both have shown incredible resilience. The match is over, but this debate is far from settled. Let's go to the judges' scorecard to see how this incredible bout breaks down.
This scorecard really sums up the fundamental disagreement perfectly. For Hart, law is a system of rules, identified by social practice, that gives us clarity and certainty. For Dworkin, it's a much richer tapestry of both rules and moral principles, all aiming for justice. And that difference leads directly to their clash over the judge's role. Are they lawmakers or are they interpreters? And finally, it all comes back to their core stance. Hart describing the system as it is, Dworkin arguing for what it should be.
So, who won? Well, after 3 rounds of some seriously intense intellectual combat, there's no unanimous decision from the experts. Hart's theory, it offers clarity and certainty. Dworkin's theory offers a richer account of how judges reason in those really tough cases. In the end, it's a split decision, and the debate continues to echo in law schools and courtrooms all around the world.
So this brings us to the central question that this whole fight leaves us with. It kind of turns you, the viewer, into the final referee. So who gets your vote? Are judges finding the one right answer hidden within the law's principles, like Dworkin says they are? Or are they just making tough choices and creating new rules when the old ones run out, like Hart believed? The decision is yours.